religion, one of the things that we'll think about is that religion is used as a tool to guide people morally in the communities, right? And so the question becomes, what happens when you remove religion from the equation? What happens in the society? And I think this is something that Friedrich Nietzsche explored on his book, God is Dead.
It's an illusion to think that religion is a moral compass. It's an illusion, a very evasive illusion, because the religion in the hands of democracy has actually started breeding chaos to the African family structures. Right now, we are debating and fighting over LGBT issues, and the religion is at the forefront of inclusion. That these things must. So the white man comes with this beautiful book, and they teach us the book. We read it also. We now understand the book. They come up a few years later. No. What is written in the book is not true. What is written in the Constitution is true. And the African must not question anything. He must go on with it. It started off with abortion issues. Now abortion is legal. People can do as they please. We thought of maybe population control, or women on a contraception. No one talks about cancer and other problems caused by those things. A few years later, they come around and say, no, nothing much. It's just same-sex marriage. Oh, okay. Maybe people are created differently. Male, female. And as of the last 1 year or 2 years, we're beginning to see the full monster coming out of the closet. Children as early as 10 years, 12 years must now be made into husbands and wives. People want to sleep and marry dogs and cats. People no longer want to be called him or she. They want to be called they. So when you use religion, particularly colonial religion, and you say it is a moral compass, I wonder if you have applied your mind to the damage that comes with being religious, but not being ethically truthful to the morality of the text itself. Because what religion right now teaches, particularly Christianity, it is not altogether in line with what the Bible teaches. I beg to be corrected, but I don't think that the present churches could even stand up and use the Bible to do anything. The Bible says when you collect your tithes, share them with the orphans, share them with the widows, share it with the strangers, share it with those that are suffering, the poor. No, the pastor takes all the money and eats by himself, buys his cars and flies around, buys aeroplanes and etc. But they're using the Bible. Bring ye the tithes and offerings into the house of the Lord. And the pastor has become the house of the Lord himself. And so when you use, say, religion, what happens when we remove religion from the community? I think that Africans were much better without these forms of religions. There's a time in our days where young girls could be escorted by men and would not fear that they would be raped. We were much better. We're much better off in the past, where the values of the community resided in our hearts. We all loved our land. Our relationships were clear. Mothers were mothers, fathers were fathers, children were children. We would stand up when adults arrive. We would greet them with politeness. And so this whole concept of Eurocentric religion, unfortunately, it came with Eurocentric culture, where people now think that by being European, they are actually educated, and culture is a hindrance to their growth. So to speak, you'll hear an educated African say, I don't do culture. I don't do culture. Oh, wow. Then the same person does not do culture, goes on to have a white wedding. And then you ask the question, since you don't do culture, didn't they tell you that actually a white wedding is white culture? You know, so which part of it confuses you? You say you don't do culture, but you're practicing another person's culture. So the concept of dominant cultures is actually the fueling station of colonization. Because when you colonize people, you take over all the elements of their societal structures, how they marry, how they bury, how they live, how they eat, how they dress, how they educate themselves, how they pray. You take over everything. So we needed to step back as Africans to look at the project in its total frame, so that we'll be able to appreciate how much damage has been caused on the African mind. But I think with our Ubuntu, we are better citizens of Africa than with our Christianity and our Islam.
So Ubuntu is the solution.
It is not even an alternative. It is the only solution that we have, because Chinese are Chinese, Americans are Americans, Europeans are Europeans, but Africans, and apparently we are not allowed to be Africans, because the world has a problem with an African. Because if an African should become an African face to face with a European, then an African is told what you are looking like is not acceptable. You can only be acceptable when you look like me. But we've never gone to Europe and to China and forced them to be like us. So why do we give the European system so much power, to an extent that they'll even tell us how to, where to, who to, when to? Then what is sovereignty? Our independence as countries only leave us with a small little piece of cloth and a few paragraphs of a poem we call a national anthem. But other than that, the laws that our governments are running on are not African laws. They are Roman Dutch laws, which are European laws. So our African leaders are sitting in offices to manage the colonial system. Our pastors are sitting in churches to manage the colonial religion. Our banks are sitting in the bank to manage colonial money. Our farmers are sitting in their farm to plant GMO foods that contaminate the African continent. Our businesses are running to steal resources from Africa. So you begin to understand that the entire framework of the liberation of the African nation in total, we cannot just talk about political liberation and we stop there, because political liberation is not even a piece of the whole cake. The real issues that must be discussed are issues of economic liberation, independence, one currency, stock exchanges, markets, Africans owning industry, owning their resources, converting their resources into manufacturing, selling final products, protecting their borders, security, and so that we can begin to look at the 52 states of America becoming one country. And the big problem, particularly with the young people who are educated, once you start talking unity, people become very educated. They want to tell you why we must not unite. Because this false Berlin Conference narrative of borders has become a religion, actually, that now we all want to idolize those small little stupid flags and those national anthems, as if there's any profit behind that. So reconstruction, decolonization projects must not become myopic in their application. And as we look right now into the Burkina Faso, Niger story, you look into the Guinea-Conakry, Mali, in the